She's traveled tens of thousands of miles, building a grassroots army across Texas. Millions of dollars raised, 56,000 donors. MJ Hegar for Senate, the leader Texas needs now more than ever. She holds the most promise for voters tired of the failing D.C. politics. Her military experience makes her the fighter Democrats need. A disruptor who can bring the fight, and a unifier who can reach across the aisle to get things done. And as MJ kicks into gear, Texas does too. Voter registration to 16.4 million despite the pandemic. And Texas is moving towards Democrats in the ratings.
She's ready to fight in Washington.
MJ Hegar has been the top fundraiser by a relatively healthy margin. It is a different race. She has a good story, and I think it makes for a compelling race in 2020.
One of the top fundraisers in the state.
Wait. Hold on. You didn't think I was gonna let John off that easy, did you?
Then there's John Cornyn with an approval rating underwater.
He's been sort of an invisible man in Washington.
We see some favorability ratings that don't look so good. You're actually lower than President Trump, the governor, and Ted Cruz.
And the coronavirus?
Well, I think China is to blame because the culture where people eat bats and snakes and dogs and things like that.
The president has, I think, led well.
If you don't have any symptoms of the coronavirus, there's not a great reason to get tested. No one under the age of 20 has died of the coronavirus. That we still don't know whether children can get it and transmit it to others.
That's ridiculous.
Well, welcome to the general election, John. A brutal Texas re-election battle. Your toughest race yet in a changing Texas, and your last.
Are you concerned at all with all this talk about Texas turning blue?
Well, I sure am.
Saddle up, Texas, because the Senate race is in full swing.
Texas is the biggest battleground state.
And in 2020,
we have the opportunity to turn our state blue up and down the ballot.
We have the opportunity to expand access to affordable health care, finance our public schools, strengthen our economy, and take meaningful action on gun violence. There's so much more in the United States Senate.
We have the opportunity to pave the way towards a more sustainable future at the Texas Railroad Commission.
We have the opportunity
to elect judges
And the justices
who will restore fairness, equality,
and balance in our courts.
We have the opportunity to shape the political future of Texas
and repair the broken systems
that disenfranchise working families in our great state.
We have the opportunity to ensure that Texans in positions of power
embrace empathy,
open minds,
and swing open the doors of possibility.
By working together
and uniting behind our shared vision of a more inclusive world,
we will win back our state.
We will win because we have to.
We have to put an end to the hate, the lack of access, and the suffering.
We have to deliver on the fair shot that every Texan deserves.
Our cause,
our movement,
is about the restoration of justice and the expansion of opportunity.
None of this can be accomplished unless we work together.
In order to bring lasting change to Texas,
we must work alongside every down ballot candidate, every activist, and every Texas Democrat to continue building the largest democratic movement our state has ever seen.
We're asking you to be a part of this historic fight.
Together, we will create a Texas that we can all believe and thrive in.
Together, we will save Texas and in turn, save the entire country.
Join us.
Join us. John, we need to talk. It's just not working out.
Senator Cornyn, you misled us on the coronavirus.
You voted against funding for masks and ventilators.
And you're still trying to take away protections for people with pre-existing conditions.
It's not us, Senator.
It's you.
You won't fight for us.
And we found someone who will.
I'm MJ Hegar, and I approved this message because 18 years
Hi, my name is Cliff Walker, and I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the Texas Democratic Party. And I'm excited to join you once again to kick off another virtual stop on the 2020 Victory Tour, an effort led by our U.S. Senate nominee, MJ Hegar, and the Texas Democratic Party. Tonight, we're taking the virtual tour bus and careening up to North Texas. We're going to be hearing from Democratic champions based in Collin and Dallas counties. We've got a diverse lineup of Democratic luminaries for you, including champions serving and running in the Texas House, a trailblazer district attorney, a top-of-the-ticket, top-targeted congressional candidate who took what was thought of as a red district and put the race on the national map, and of course, our next U.S. Senator, MJ Hegar. And we also have a special guest that you're going to hear from in just one moment, in addition to our Texas tour that I'm very excited to bring to you. But before we dive in, if you have not done this yet, and I'd be shocked if you haven't. But if you haven't, make sure that you go vote and to figure out what you need to bring to the polls, who you can vote for, where to go vote. Go right now to mytexasvotes.com and make a vote plan. And if you've done it, then make sure that everyone else in your household, friends and families and your loved ones do the same, because we are neck and neck in this state. We're very close. Every single vote matters. But we've got an incredible lineup for you, so I won't preach at you too much. First and foremost, we talk about Texas being the biggest battleground state. And, we've been saying that in Texas for some years now. And what is the most encouraging thing in the world is that we're getting validators, not just big national committees, but leaders in every single state in the country who are reaffirming the fact that Texas is the biggest battleground state in the country, because when you win in Texas, you don't just defeat Trump, but you defeat Trumpism. And, we're very fortunate right now to have another one of our Democratic supporters from across the country join us. We have a national leader on climate, on clean energy and the environment. The gentleman I'm going to introduce to you serves as the chair of the Senate Climate Task Force, has over 40 years of experience in legislative work, and is a powerful leader both nationally and internationally in climate and energy policy. Who am I talking about? Senator Ed Markey is joining us from Massachusetts to give us a little inspiration. Tell us a little bit about, what Texas really means in the national scope of things. So without further ado, very pleased to invite to Texas virtually, Senator Ed Markey. Senator, take it away.
Thank you, Cliff, so much. And thanks to everybody who is on this call. And what does Texas mean? It means everything. We can win Texas. It's there. We've come a long way, but it's there. And, when I was growing up, it was Sam Rayburn, the speaker from Texas, and John McCormick, the majority leader from Massachusetts. It was Jack Kennedy, the president from Massachusetts, and Lyndon Johnson, the vice president. And then it went on and on, the Boston-Austin connection, they used to call it. And so we're getting ready to rebuild that bridge so that we can have a partnership in progressive policies for our country that we work together to achieve. And that's why MJ and her candidacy is just so important. And by the way, all the other candidacies down ballot in Texas this year, there's a revolution going on. Young people of color, they're rising up. They're going to be voting at historic numbers. This is our moment. That's why we have to be all gas and no brakes for the final 12 days. That's why we have to organize and not agonize for the last 12 days. It's there if we do it. This is our historic moment. This is 1932. This is 1860. It's one of those elections. And we have a candidate for the other party who cooperates with us every single day, showing how ridiculous he is, how criminally negligent he is as a president. He has a secret bank account in China. I mean, the man just is really doing everything he can to help us. And unlike 2016, when I hate to say this, when we assumed that Hillary was going to win, this time only the paranoid will survive. That has to be us. It's there. It's there for the asking if we do this well for the final 12 days, if we have our high energy level. And the reason it's so important and why it's so important for MJ to win and everyone who is down ballot, it's that justice is on the ballot on November 3rd. Environmental justice is on the ballot. Climate change is real. The planet's running a fever. There are no emergency rooms for planets. We have to engage in the creation of millions of union jobs at prevailing wages to give people not just jobs, but careers. We can do this. And we can do it with intersectionality to make sure that the Black and brown communities that have always breathed different air than white suburban communities, that they're put at the front of the line. That's Joe Biden's energy proposal, $2 trillion. And 40% of the funding goes to frontline communities, goes into minority communities. That's jobs and justice in a nutshell. That's what MJ will be voting for in January and February of 2021. We have a chance to put a policy like that in place. We need educational justice. Right now, there are 16 million children in America without the internet at home. 16 million. They're black, they're brown, they're poor, they're immigrant. A lot of them are in Texas. We passed the funding that gives them the link at home and the devices. Otherwise, we're going to have children missing the 3rd grade, missing the 5th grade, and they're going to know they were missing it too. There's going to be a long-term consequences. Educational justice is on the ballot. Millions of people have lost their health care on top of the 30 million who already did not have health care. Healthcare justice is on the ballot. We have to guarantee that everyone has healthcare access in our country, especially those who are the poorest, who are most vulnerable. We know that. Economic justice is on the ballot. 3 billionaires control more money in America than the bottom 50% of our population combined. 3 control more than the bottom 50%. That's an economic system that has gone off the rails. It's almost the embodiment of structural racial bias in our country, because we know who disproportionately is inside of the bottom 50 percentile economically in our country. And racial justice, above it all, is on the ballot. And we can see through the coronavirus, we can see through George Floyd and everything else that has happened. And so that just points to MJ Hegar. It points to a leader with historically great qualities. She's spent her whole life getting ready for this moment. She spent her whole life getting prepared to be on the floor of the United States Senate next year, to be the leader on all of these justice issues, to represent Texas, to make sure that the voices of everyone in Texas are being heard. So I can't tell you how critical Texas is going to be for the presidency and for the United States Senate. But if we win the House, which we will, but add the Senate and the presidency, we're going to have our own FDR moment in America in 2021. We're going to have our 1933. We're going to have our ability to think big, think really big about all the things that have to be done for our country. And you need someone who is big, who can do it. And that's MJ Hegar. She's just absolutely a superstar. And her reputation comes to Boston and all across our country from her last race. But what she's doing in this race puts her in a position to be able to get over the finish line. So if we win the Senate, the sky's the limit for what we can do for our country. And we're going to need MJ on the floor with us, partnered, in order to advance that agenda. And what a great leader she's going to be. What an incredible, incredible inspiration to everyone she's going to be. So I thank all of you. And all I can ask you to do is just keep working. We have the wind at our back. It's going to only get better for us as each day goes by, thanks to this madman who is in the White House, this racist who is in the White House. We have a chance to have our 1932. And I can't thank you all enough for everything that you're doing towards the goal of making that possible. So thank you, Cliff, so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator, for being with us. Senator Ed, all gas, no break. Markey, thank you for reminding us of everything that's on the ballot, justice for all of the issues that we care about on every single front, and bridging that Austin-Boston connection. We're going to keep bridging that, and we'll do it with the election of MJ Hegar to the U.S. Senate. You know, and one thing that the senator mentioned that really hit home for me is the importance of down ballot races and the importance of making sure that we're not just winning at the U.S. Senate level and congressional level, but we're also flipping the Texas House. It means we need to hold on to some of the seats that we won in 2018. It also means that we need to pick up at least 9 seats. We're not settling at 9. We want to run up the score. Now is the time to do it. So, we talked about trailblazers and folks who've been fighting the good fight. And, the next 2 guests that we have been changing their districts and changing their communities for literally years, truly fighting the good fight and running in 2018, taking districts that were not necessarily on the initial target list and making them top tier districts. We know that when candidates run again, they're even more competitive, even likelier to win. So I am pleased to bring up the first of 2 of our North Texas legislative champions. Brandy Chambers is a respected attorney who's practiced in the Dallas area since 2001 on a number of fronts, employment law, medical malpractice, civil rights defense. But, I've seen Brandy's tussle. I've seen Brandy's toil over these years, and ain't a single candidate out here going to outwork Brandy Chambers. And thanks to that work, we're about to take a district that, again, was thought of, it can't possibly be blue, just the other day. And in 12 short days, I got to keep updating the countdown in my head. In 12 short days, we're going to turn it into a bright blue district. So thank you so much, Brandy, for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Cliff. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to MJ and the senator for showing up and giving us I will totally walk away with all gas, no brakes forever in my brain. That's the way I actually live my life. So I need a bumper sticker. That's what it's going to be. But thank you again. I'm Brandy Chambers. I am running for the Texas House for District 112, which is the northeast borders of Dallas County. As Cliff was referencing, I was a first-time candidate running against a 5-term incumbent in 2018, and in a race in which everyone thought I would lose by 14 points or more. I worked hard, I kept my nose to the grindstone, and earned 49% of the vote. Out of 53,000 votes cast, I narrowly missed the mark by 1,100 votes. So now this race is number 3 of the 9 that we need to flip the House. And I am so excited. We have got a lot of energy behind us this time. Sometimes we just have to show people it can be done. And I was able to do that, thank God. And now I believe that we are definitely going to be a blue district after November 3rd. I'm really excited. My number 1 priority is expanding Medicaid. This district is in dire need of that, and it's something that my opponent has voted against 3 times. My opponent has voted for gerrymandered maps 5 times. So my opponent is a woman who voted against women for the Equal Pay Act. These are things I will not do because, we're all Texans, and I live with the values of, but for the grace of God go I. We are our brother and sister's keeper, and treat people like you want to be treated. And there was never a caveat to that saying, unless you come from Mexico, or unless you don't love who I think you should love, or unless you have a disability. There's no caveat. It's everybody. We're all in this together. So I am so excited for everybody that has showed up, who has donated their money, who has donated their time, who has donated their energy, to make sure that we are going to be a Texas of the people and for the people. Thanks so much, guys.
Beautifully stated, Brandy. It's hard. I can't better encapsulate what democratic values are better than what you said right there. It really does come down to how you treat other people and your inclination to do so. In carrying forth these values, we can do these in places where, again, people thought, well, it's too red. There's no way we can possibly win. One of those places is Collin County. Collin County, which, it's impossibly, it's this or that. Well, we've seen the trends in Collin County over the last couple of years. In 2012, it was a 32-point Romney County. In 2016, it was a 16-point Trump County. Beto got it to single digits in 2018. And now we're seeing the incredible work of not just Beto in 2018, but also Sharon Hirsch, who's running a House District 66. Also, the candidates who have been out there carrying forth that Democratic message, bringing that energy door to door until we went virtually door to door. And Sharon's been doing that, and all of that work is going to pay off in a little over a week and a half. Sharon, so glad to have you tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Cliff, and thanks to MJ and team and Senator Markey and all the other wonderful candidates that I hope will be my colleagues very soon after we flip this district. I'm Sharon Hirsch, running for House District 66, which is the western portion of Plano and a little bit of North Dallas. And as Cliff said, I was the nominee in 2018 and came within 391 votes. Again, like Brandy said, in a race where nobody thought it was winnable. And quite frankly, we had no idea how we were going to land either, because we had very few candidates running in Collin County over the course of the last few decades. But I was frustrated enough with the representation that we had and willing to put my name on the ballot and work really, really hard and see what could happen. And this is the result of our laying that groundwork over the last couple cycles is going to produce a victory. I feel very strongly and very confident about that on November 3rd. And why is this important? And this is so important for the people of Collin County who have not seen Democratic representation in decades. We are a growing, a beautifully diverse community that has had a single voice, and so many people have remained voiceless. And I'm ready to deliver new leadership to our district. I believe that people are ready to reject Trump and all of his enablers, and that's both Democrats and Republicans alike. We're getting a lot of positive feedback at the polling place. I think that we're going to help. I think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to do very well in Collin County, very well in House District 66. We're going to see Lulu Seikaly win Congressional District 3. We're going to flip a couple House districts, hopefully take some judicial races, and really bring a more diverse, balanced representation to Collin County. So I'm super excited. I just been on the ground for probably 15 years in Collin County, watching this happen. This is not only a terrific opportunity, but I believe it's an obligation that we deliver new leadership to our community, and that we do, like Senator Markey said, we have a lot of work to do in Austin. We need to change the face of power. I think we're going to do that, and I'm looking forward to heading to Austin and doing the good work for the people after we win on November 3rd. So I appreciate all the support we've gotten from coast to coast, lots of grassroots support in Texas. This has been overwhelming, and I'm filled with gratitude and look forward to serving the community soon. So thank you for giving us a little bit of time to spread the word, and everybody get out there and vote.
Thank you, Sharon. And thank you for not just watching what's happening in Collin County for 15 years. You have been making it happen in Collin County for years. And, you know, it's just a moment like this when it's a perfect storm and things are meant to be. And that is one, and this is that year. You're right. Trump enablers, they don't just happen at the top of the ballot. There are plenty of Trump enablers down at the bottom of the ballot as well, including in our state house, which is why when you join the state house, you're gonna need incredible colleagues. And you've got a few folks here tonight who you're gonna be joining in the Texas House in just a hop, skip, and a jump. One of those is State Representative-elect Jasmine Crockett, who is a Democratic champion and has been fighting on the front of social equity. You know, some people lace up their shoes and march for justice, and others try to get into the system, infiltrate the system to make change. And Jasmine's the kind of person who embodies both. And that's what we need. That's the kind of leadership that we need if we really want to make progress on justice of all sorts, just like Senator Markey mentioned earlier today. So very honored to have you with us here tonight, Representative-elect Crockett.
Thanks so much, Cliff. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm praying for Sharon. I think I hit her up the other week and was like, Sharon, anything I can do? And I'm going to tell you, that's been my game plan the entire time. I'm in a safe blue district. It has been blue the entire time it's existed. There's never been a Republican to actually run. But our primaries can get pretty hot and heated. And I did have 5 opponents. I did take over for the now mayor of Dallas, Eric Johnson. But you know what? The one thing that I just really want to stress as we're trying to get people excited and get people out to vote, this is a team sport, and I need as many teammates as I can get. Right now, we are fighting 2 different pandemics in this country. We're fighting the pandemic known as COVID-19, but we're also fighting the pandemic known as racism. And we've been fighting that fight for a very long time. COVID-19, we've not been fighting it as long, but we see the racial inequities when it comes to healthcare. We see them when it comes to incarceration. We see them when it comes to policing overall. We see them in housing. We see them in employment. We see them all around us. What COVID-19 has managed to do is it's managed to amplify what was already there. It's managed to make it to where anybody who just opens their eyes can see it. And so I think that it's important that we do things like come together right now to make sure that we support people like MJ, because there's only so much that we can do on the House level. And I need people like Sharon that are going to be down there in the House with me, because I'm only one of 150 voices that's fighting to get this progressive change that we need. And sadly enough, if Sharon flips that district, which I absolutely anticipate she's going to do, she can't be the loud, outspoken voice on some of these very progressive issues if she's going to be able to maintain that seat. So it takes somebody who's in a safe district like me to stand out front and be willing to say, this is what we're going to do, and then bring my other colleagues along. But there's so much that needs to be done on the federal level, especially if we start talking about George Floyd, and if we start talking about the injustices as it lies in the civil rights cases that are being filed, as we start talking about these courts that are being stacked. If we had an MJ right now, we may not have to stress about the fact that the Senate is trying to push forward with this illegitimate confirmation of this candidate right now for the Supreme Court. And so we need real fighters. And let me tell you, I consider MJ to be a real fighter because she's a person of the people. She's not a politician, and it's probably messing her up a little bit sometimes because she's not a politician. But I know right now people are tired of politicians, and they want somebody that they can trust and they believe in. And I do believe that MJ is that person. Just like so many other candidates that are on here, I know you're going to hear from my colleague, Ana-Maria Ramos. She is real, and I think that's what the people are longing for. And so I'm so excited to know that we're going to have real representation up and down the ballot. We just got to make sure that we go all the way down the ballot. We've got to go from the top with Kamala and Biden all the way down to the state house. And we're going to flip this house, and we're finally going to get things right in Texas. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Representative-elect, for bringing your voice, bringing your passion. Your voice is crucially needed right now at this point in American and Texas history. So we're so happy that you are going to be serving in the Texas House very soon. You know, it's a beautiful thing that you said, that when you talked about, you know, Sharon, and you talked about Lulu, and you talked about Representative Ramos, Democrats support each other. And it's really a team. It's a coordinated effort. It's a team effort. It's a beautiful thing to see. You know, just looking at looking at the other side of the aisle, we see the state Republican chair standing outside of the governor's mansion, protesting the Republican governor, and they're suing each other, and they're trying to double over each other and pile up to see who can be the biggest Trump enabler. And I think people are looking for an alternative. They're looking for that sense of decency, and and we're looking for it at all levels on the ballot. You know, we need justice, we need decency at all levels on the ballot. And one person who really embodies both of those things is DA Creuzot, who has more than 3 decades of experience in the criminal justice system, including more than 21 years as felony district court judge. She was appointed by Ann Richards back in 1982. And the DA has been a leading voice on what justice can and should look like in this American era. And we are very pleased to have him here as a major voice, as a speaker on these crucial issues. DA Creuzot, thank you for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you, Mr. Walker, and thank you to each of you. Thank you, Ms. Hegar, for inviting me to participate in this. And seriously, good luck to Ms. Chambers, Ms. Hirsch, Ms. Crockett. You all, Ms. Seikaly, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but anyway, good luck to all of you. I mean, I stand, with you, behind you, in front of you, next to you, on either side of you, or whatever, because it's time for change. And I have watched Texas in my younger years go from being a fairly Democratic state to now a Republican state, but not so much anymore. And I just want to let everybody know how much I support each of you and how much I support the turning of the Texas House into being a Democratic institution and getting a new Speaker of the House, someone whose values are reflected as the values of the majority of Texans. And Ms. Hegar, thank you so much for doing what you are doing, for running for, this isn't easy. I mean, all of us know, anybody else who's listening who's never done this doesn't quite understand. But Ms. Hegar, thank you. And I so much support you and want you to win. And let me tell you, for all who are listening, who are not those of us who are candidates, it is important about healthcare. We have watched, over the years, the debates back and forth about expanded healthcare, expanded Medicare, whether it's public healthcare or private health, whatever. We know that the vast majority, if not all of Americans, need healthcare. It's a right, okay? And we need it. And we need a candidate like MJ Hegar who's going to fight for healthcare for all Texans, who's going to protect pre-existing conditions that we can't discriminate against that, who's going to look at individuals as individuals and not allow them to be discriminated against. And we need a leader who has said, I will stand up and I will serve America and I will sacrifice my life if necessary. I will be a member of a branch of the American service and I will put my life on the line. And we look at, if we start just at 1600 Pennsylvania, you know what? We have a guy who got a note from his doctor about heel spurs or whatever that nonsense was. And then we have someone here who's running, who didn't look for an excuse, who stepped forward. That's the difference between someone who sees our veterans as losers and suckers because they didn't have the privileges and the opportunities to make up an excuse, as opposed to those who said, I'm willing to serve, I'm going to serve, and I'm going to do my best for my country. And those are the qualities and values that MJ Hegar embodies. And that's why we need her as our next United States Senator. That's why I'm supporting her. That's why I'm going to vote for her. And that's why I want to see her. But I also want to see, Ms. Chambers. I want to see her win. I want to see Ms. Seikaly win. I want you to win. I want Ms. Hirsch to win. And I want everyone. I want Ms. Crockett to get there, because I know, having been engaged with the Texas legislature for well over 30 years now, that it makes a difference when people who have the values of the vast majority of Texans and who will work for the rights of individuals as opposed to corporations and what have you, that we will make serious advancements in Texas. And so I'm just looking forward to it. Ms. Hegar, I want to say to you personally, I appreciate everything you're doing. I'm behind you. You're going to get my vote. Anything that you all need me to do to support your campaign, just let me know. I'm there for you. And thank you.
Yep. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for being with us tonight and for your inspiring and passionate words. If only we had MJ. I think Representative elect Crockett mentioned that if we had MJ right now, we would be in a different place as a country for sure.
Yes.
And winning up and down the ballot, as you mentioned, is something that we can do. We can get that done, and we will. Yeah. And that includes at the congressional level. Nancy Pelosi said earlier this cycle in the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee said Texas is the place where Democrats can be on offense for Congress. And that includes some places where, again, I know that we just had Sharon here, and we talked about Collin County and how rapidly it's transitioned. That includes in Collin County, where now we have a district that is on the premier targeted list by the national party. It's saying that we can win this seat in Collin County, and we can do that with Lulu Seikaly. Lulu, who's running in Congressional District 3, is a proud first-generation American. She's the daughter of a pediatric specialist and registered nurse. She was raised in North Texas, and she knows she is an embodiment of the American story. She knows that every American has the opportunity to succeed, or should, just like her family did, and is fighting for that. She attended Southern Methodist, where she was an active in student government, earned her law degree from the South Texas College of Law, graduated with honors. And now she's been volunteering in the community, traveling, mentoring students, and most recently has taken on this challenge of fighting in a seat where Democrats have been building for years. And she's, with her work and investment, is taking it to the entirely next level. And that's why we're going to have another congressperson from Texas on the Democratic side of the aisle. It's going to be Lulu Seikaly in Congressional District 3. Lulu, thank you for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you so much, Cliff, for that introduction. MJ, thank you so much. We were so excited to have you in Collin County last Sunday. You are welcome anytime. You just give me a call. You come. We'll host you like we did. And thank you to Sharon and all the other speakers who are on this event tonight, because I think Jasmine said it, we can't do this by ourselves. Our names are on the ballot. We're going to fight and advocate once we get elected, but we can't do it alone. And we're so thankful to have an army of tough, strong, fiery, feisty, fired up Democrats behind us, making sure that we can do that. Like Cliff said, I am Lulu Seikaly. I am proud to be y'all's Democratic nominee for the Texas 3rd Congressional District. My parents fled civil war in Lebanon in 1984 and came to the United States to achieve their American dream. And I tell this story because this is how my values have been shaped. And they've been in North Texas for over 30 years. I was raised here, I was educated here, and that's how my values were formed. And my story actually resonates a lot with the people of Collin County, because for those of you guys who have been around North Texas for the last decade, you know that Collin County has become much more diverse. It's become amazingly diverse. And people of Collin County, their stories are similar to mine. Now, my parents are both in the healthcare field, and healthcare, of course, is my number one issue, to make sure that we can work towards affordable, accessible healthcare. Now, people like Sharon, who have been on the ground here in Collin County, working their tails off to make sure it turns blue, we're finally going to pay it off. We're going to elect Sharon. We're going to win Collin County for MJ. I'm going to be the first Arab American Congresswoman ever elected from Texas. And that's all going to be with y'all's help. Because here in Collin County, we guys know it's been, a week and a half of early voting already. And in Collin County, we have massively increased our turnout since 2016. We're almost at 25% turnout increase from 2016, but we have so much further to go than that. We cannot let the momentum stop. We have to keep pushing. We have to call. If we were going to bring 3 friends to the polls, bring 5 instead. Make sure that your network is accountable. Make sure they're going out to vote. They're using their vote because their vote is their voice. And when MJ and I and Sharon get elected, our vote is our voice for y'all. So make sure you guys hold us accountable. Make sure you guys go out and vote. You make sure you vote for people who you believe are going to best represent you. Because right now, unfortunately, none of us, I don't think, would have stepped up had we felt we were well represented. I mean, I live in Sharon's district. I know I haven't been well represented. I clearly haven't been well represented by my congressman. We haven't been well represented by Senator Cornyn either. But that's why us 3 strong women stepped up here, at least for Collin County. I will speak only to Collin County. And that's because things like affordable health care is still not being taken care of. That's because our representatives are playing politics with COVID relief. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but our representatives are not listening to the facts. They're not listening to the science. They're not listening to the experts. And I will put money on the fact that the 3 of us strong women will do those things. Because here in Collin County, we deserve better. In Texas, we deserve better. And I know for a long time, we've been saying Collin County is the tipping point for Texas, but we have evidence now of it. We got a really exciting report about a week or 2 ago that if Collin County goes blue, Joe Biden will win Texas on election night, MJ will win Texas on election night, and we will be in a great position for the next 4 years. So don't take it for granted. Find a candidate you like, donate to them, volunteer for them. I hope it's me, but I would like to make it an equal opportunity ask. But make sure that you're doing everything you can to text bank, phone bank, lit drop, bring your friends to the polls. We need all the help we can get because we can't do it alone. We're very excited to be y'all's voices in Washington and in Austin. Thank you guys all for your support. MJ, I've looked up to you for so long. Thank you so much for stepping up, for doing such an incredibly brave thing. I'm honored to share the ballot with you. I'm honored to share the ballot with Sharon here in Collin County, and together we're gonna do it. We're gonna get them.
Lulu, thank you so much. Are you at all surprised that Congressional District 3 is now one of the top targeted congressional districts in the country? Look, we've got a champion like Lulu who's running, who's bringing energy, who's bringing ideas, and who's in it for the right reasons. And we've talked about the Republican enablers on the other side, and we can't say the same. We cannot say the same for those folks there. You know, we've heard her name mentioned all night long, and that's because she really has inspired a bunch of people up and down the ballot and all across this state, and increasingly all across the country. You know, to have a champion like MJ in the state of Texas is, you know, when we talked about the right person at the right time, this is it. 12, 13 days, we're going to get it done. And it's because we've got the right person at the right time. You know, we said, just as Representative Crockett mentioned, if we had an MJ right now, you know, we'd all sleep a little bit better knowing that our healthcare is safe and secure. And we would be taking meaningful action on achieving justice in this country. We'd be on the path to healing our climate. We'd have someone who fought and bled for democracy and who would protect democracy, not undermine it every single day. And she's got them scared. So you all know MJ. You've seen her ads. If you haven't, you will very soon. I'm sure you've seen a couple, and you should see more. But she is a decorated combat vet, a working mom, and crucially, a Texan through and through. So MJ, without further ado, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Cliff. I mean, what could I possibly add? What an amazing slate of servant leaders. You know, I got to apologize to Lulu for getting Beastie Boys stuck in her head. I told her no sleep till Brooklyn. I'm just so incredibly impressed that she knew who the Beastie Boys were. And, you know, I got to say, I can't help it. When I hear stories like Lulu's and like Gina Ortiz-Jones and other first generation Americans, I know what makes this country great. And I know where we get our strength. And I know why we're the leaders of the free world. And I know why we are the ones who spread democracy around the world and who other fledgling democracies look to for guidance and as an example. And the things that make us that are under attack right now. I can't tell y'all how weird, how surreal, how much of a gut punch it is to be fighting in an endless war on foreign soil and take a bullet for the Constitution, fighting for democracy, fighting for a free press, fighting for safe and secure elections, fighting for freedom for women, fighting for you know, an end to a reign of terror and torment and torture and a group of people that would use that torture to control others, and then come home and on my own soil see an administration that's attacking the free press, that's trying to create dissent and allowing Russian interference in our elections and not committing to a peaceful transition of power and committing human rights violations on our southern border and attacking women and all of the things that we were just fighting against on foreign soil. And the gun violence epidemic here, the families it's ripping apart. You know, I put on the uniform and deployed overseas because my government told me it was to keep the violence off of our shores. And I feel betrayed by this administration. And I'm running for this office as a continuation of the oath that I took to support and defend our Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And this administration is a domestic threat to our Constitution, whether it is the violent removal of peaceful protesters and clergy from Lafayette Square, whether it's disrespecting the co-equal branches of government, whether it's sowing dissent and trying to make people lose faith in our intelligence community, whether it's hyper-partisan polarizing of our judicial branch. Y'all, we have a lot of work to do, but that is not something to feel overwhelmed by. We have so much opportunity to show this country who we are as a state. We have so much opportunity to deliver real servant leadership. John Cornyn is running on the same things in 2020 that he was running on in 2002. And if you watch the debate, you heard me say this, but it bears repeating. In 18 years in office, he had 18 years to accomplish these things. And a third of that time, he likes to point fingers at Democrats and say that they stopped him from it, which, by the way, if that was true, I guess he's just not very effective at his job. But if he really wanted these things, he would have done them, because for a third of that time, his party had the majority in the House and the Senate and the White House. And so if he wanted to get things done, like protecting dreamers, like getting access to affordable quality healthcare and protecting pre-existing conditions, like the gun violence epidemic, and he said he wanted to close the gun show loophole and things like that. But then he got into office and he caved, and he took all that corporate PAC money and he got stars in his eyes to be majority leader, and he sold us out. And I'm here to tell you guys, we're not for freaking sale. And we are going to, it is way past time, because if he was a CEO of a company and doing this to running his company into the ground the way he is, even with oil industry jobs, let's be very clear, even with energy sector jobs, we've lost half of our energy sector jobs since 2014, because people like John Cornyn are listening to the CEOs and not the energy workers. And they're not seeing, they don't have the business acumen to see the trend in the industry is heading toward global renewable energy. We got to get on board that train, y'all. It is about climate change, but it is also about our economy as a state and protecting jobs. So y'all, I am so excited to see this record turnout, and it is not because of me. And we have an incredible slate of candidates, but it's not because of them either. It's because of y'all. Listening to this call, making phone calls, talking to your friends and family, sending text messages, spreading the word, having conversations, all of the hard work that's going on the ground. This type of record-setting turnout and record-setting registration, it is so much work. My favorite state house rep, my own personal state house rep, who I helped flip from red to blue in 2018, James Tallarico, said it best when he said, politics is like the Olympics. Okay, so if y'all choose to phone bank with us, this is the type of experience you can expect. Okay, politics is like the Olympics. It is the people who are involved in it think that it's everything everybody is thinking about all the time, like it is for them. There's so much work happening behind the scenes. There are so many people that go into getting that gold medal, and all the coaches and all of the training and the families and the sacrifices and the hard work and the blisters and the broken bones. And nobody pays attention to it until the games are on TV. And then all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's just my most ardent wish for our country that this person get the gold medal. It's everything. It's all I can think about. They get the gold medal. We feel patriotic. We listen to the anthem, and then we tune out and do something else. And that is totally what politics is. So phone banking and text messaging and talking to people is about reminding them that this election is here. Don't project onto other people how important you know that this is, and think that they realize how important it is. Because frankly, y'all, people have a lot going on, not just with the pandemic, but certainly the pandemic has multiplied the challenges facing the people in this state. They are trying to keep food on the table. They are trying to keep a roof over their kids' heads. They're trying to do, because I'm doing it, virtual, kindergarten, and trying to get kids to sports and trying to keep their families safe and trying to keep their jobs and just trying to live that dream that Lulu's parents saw, that made our country what it is. This amazing, diverse melting pot of cultures and colors and religions and experiences. And it's why we lead the world. But we are in danger of losing that. And while I fear for our state, and I fear for the country that I love, that I have bled for, that I would bleed for again, I fear for the world. Because if we allow, look, democracy is perfect in its imperfection. Democracy provides us the opportunity to screw things up royally. And I would argue we did that in 2016. And we showed the world what can happen in a free country where everybody's got a right to express things, even if those things that they're expressing is dividing our country. But what we do next is more important. And I fear for the world, and I fear for struggling democracies around the world who are looking to us. And I fear if we don't right this wrong. We can make a mistake once, you make a mistake twice in a row, and it's not a mistake, it's who you are. So this election, every election is so important. I know that, but this election is our chance to show the world who we are as a state, to show the world that what's happening on our southern border is not who we are. But we can't show them that through anything other than our voice and our vote. We must deliver a landslide electoral victory for Biden if we are to heal this nation. Because our votes have been suppressed and we don't have a lot of vote by mail, we will have one of the earlier electoral vote results. And when we go to Biden, it will take the wind out of the sails of those that would sow dissent and division and divisiveness and civil unrest. It will take the wind out of the sails of people in his administration who think that they can challenge this victory through some conspiracy theory about election security with vote by mail. They are suppressing our votes. We are the most restrictive state in the union for voting rights. And so there's a lot on the line. There's a lot on the line for Texas. There's energy sector jobs. There's access to healthcare, which we have been 50th in the nation for the entire time John Cornyn's been in office, but don't get me started. We have our voting rights are on the ballot and are in peril with this Supreme Court. There is so much on the line, but there is so much on the line globally. And I can tell you, because I have deep-seated relationships with our allies through my time in the military, and they have reached out and said, we're with you, we're collectively holding our breath to see if we need to select a new leader. And all I can tell y'all is not on my freaking watch. We are the leaders of the free world. We will get our reputation back. We will be someone that our allies know they can lean on, and they can depend on our integrity to keep our word. And we will damn sure show our enemies that we cannot be manipulated and run over. We will show international bodies like the UN and NATO that we are not withdrawing our influence, that we stand strong, and that we will protect our national interests around the world. And we will show from that scale all the way down to the children who are still waiting to be reunited with their parents, that we are a nation that treats people with human dignity and respect, that we do still believe that people are endowed with the inalienable rights of life and liberty, and the freaking, y'all have no idea how close I am to cursing a lot tonight, the freaking pursuit of happiness. It's what makes us so strong. It's why it's what we were founded on. And I am committed to showing the world that we are still that. But I can't do it without y'all. And I can't do it without this amazing slate of candidates. So please do some research on your down ballot candidates. The lower down the ballot, the more likely you are to know less about them. And the lower down the ballot, the more impact they have on your life. Look at those judges, vote all the way down the ballot, vote for your state house reps. A lot of the voter suppression and a lot of the lack of healthcare and a lot of the education investment that we're missing is happening in the state house. Stand with me and let's show the world what it means to be a Texan, that we have backbone and we have grit and we have perseverance, and we demand that we maintain our position as leaders, not only as Texas, but in the United States. I look forward to working with y'all. I look forward to the party. We're going to party like it's 1999 on November 4th, because we're going to have a lot to celebrate. Thank you guys so much.
If only we had an MJ in office right now, as Representative-elect Crockett said. Every time I hear MJ speak, I want to go do a phone bank and then run out to vote. Now, I've already voted, but you can still vote. Or you can encourage people in your household, people who are your friends and your families, to go vote. We can elect MJ Hegar. We are so close. It's entirely up to us. All you got to do is 3 things. 1, keep doing what you're doing right now, showing up, encouraging other people to vote. 2, do a little bit more. So if you've written a little bit of a check and you can do a little bit more, give a little bit more. We're so close, up and down the ballot. And then finally, go to mytexasvotes.com. So if you want to figure out where do I need to go send folks if they need to find their polling location or what to bring when going to the polls, one-stop shop, mytexasvotes.com. If you'd like to get involved, that's a place where you can find out opportunities that are happening locally within your own community. All of these things are within our grasp. You heard it, this excellent team of candidates up and down the ballot, from MJ to Lulu to Representative Jasmine Crockett to Brandy and Sharon. Every single one of them in just over a week and a half can be an elect as well. It's entirely up to us. So keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for the work you've already done. Thank you for what you're going to do. And let's get this done. Have a good night.